There we go. Ooh. YouTube, what is up? We are back with another day, and today we got some snatches, we got some cleans, and we got some back squats. And breaking news, we're gonna be starting off with some jumps. So pretty creative day on the sticks today, but should just be another work day. Finding myself be a little bit more whiny by the day when it comes to training. The addition of softball, the addition of throwing, the addition of the sprinting, probably just adding a little bit too much into the program. Just feeling a little beat down from it, and the mind is just slipping into all of the excuses and getting a little bit slower and getting a little bit harder to get to the gym. And I caught myself walking into the gym with this whiny mindset, like sliding in and slipping into just not even old ways of thinking, but just like bad ways, lazy ways of thinking. I got my training journal right here, and I really like having this training journal so far. We're 1 week into having it, but I've been writing like just thoughts and quotes and things about training that I've been thinking. And last week when we were feeling good, it was all positive. And this week when I was writing down what I was feeling about training, it's like, you're catching yourself slipping. You're slipping, dude. Fucking find a way to be excited about training. Stop whining about it, man. And there are good and bad days of training, and there's just gonna be days where you walk into the weight room and it's just a work day and you just gotta power through the mind. But I've just been finding it's like 2 or 3 or 4-ish days in a row of just like showing up 10 minutes later than you're supposed to, then 15 minutes later than you're supposed to, then 20 minutes later than you're supposed to, with less energy every single time. It's like nip that shit in the bud. So that's what we're gonna try and do today. We are gonna nip it in the bud, and we're gonna bring some excitement to training. We are gonna get after it today. And we're gonna give ourselves a little perspective shift on just how lucky we are to do what we do. And just how excited to train we should be, whether it's a max out day or not. Your max out days don't just fucking come, Austin. Gotta earn them, and you gotta earn them through these days of work and grind and finding excitement in the process. So that was kind of the thought process is going into this workout. Felt like I've been slipping just a little bit, not even on intent or intensity or anything like serious. It's just like that the slippage of the mind, which eventually turns into you're skipping out on your diet, you're skipping out on your workouts. You're just giving a little less intensity than you should be. You're just a little less dialed. And those days add up, man, if you continue to just let them eke into what you're doing. And it's not something I'm interested in doing. So we're gonna nip that in the butt today. We're gonna get after today. We're gonna start off with some squatted hops from Joel Smith that we're doing last week of this jump series with single leg triple jumps after that. Then we get some heavy snatches, we get some heavy cleans, and we get some heavy squats. And we have a great opportunity to work today. So let's get after it, let's do it. All right, now we got week 3 of these squatted hops here. There's nothing special or sexy about these hops other than the feel that I've been getting from them. It's like the inside foot and glutes connected and just a nice bouncing feel that I've really been getting from these, and it's really been a nice little primer for sprints the next day. And every day I've done them before my sprints, I'm not saying this is the reason why, but every day that I've done them before my sprints, I've hit a big PR the next day. And I don't want to fix what's not broken. So we're gonna keep the same approach that we've had these last 3 weeks. This will be our last week of doing these. Maybe we'll add some weight to the next series. But week 3 of this jump series, it's been working. It's been good. I like the feel of it. It's not sexy, but it's good. Let's get this. Our 5th set of 20 here. Let's go. Ooh. Let's go. All right, week 3 of these single leg jumps. Running these for 3 weeks just because I'm super bad at them, and I've been getting progress with them. We started off with 20 feet. Last week we hit 22. I think we could eke out right around a 23-footer today. One of the Instagram guys, I don't know if you watched it on YouTube or just saw it on Instagram, but he tagged me in a 26-foot version of this jump, which is pretty sick. So we got a ways to go on these, but this will be our last week of doing them in a row. We'll probably add them back in the cycle later, and we'll keep a single leg jump variation in here on these Wednesdays. So let's get it, let's go. Ooh! 22-2, which is a PR with the left leg. The right leg's been significantly stronger on these. That's where we hit 22-2 last week. I think we had 22 right on the nuts with that. So that's a PR with the left leg. Let's get this right leg, see if we can push something. Oh yeah, there we go. 22, 10 and a half. That's pretty good. Let's get to some snatches. Now we got 3 sets of 1 here, 1 plus 1, I guess. It's a snatch into a low hang snatch. Trying to rip these up at 200 pounds and trying to make 200 lightweight. Let's get it, let's go. Oh yeah, let's go. For how the body's feeling, I was pretty happy with how that set moved. I still want to work on a little bit more of a deep tier catch with these snatches, but day 3 of snatches, when we're snatching every single day, and with the swings, that elbow really starts to get inflamed. That's when I really become a coward of catching low and actually stabilizing that position. So I think we're gonna do the first one regular, and the second one we'll try and catch underneath it, just to limit some of that beat upness on that elbow. We'll still work on that full catch position, so let's get it, let's go. Ew. Damn. Still forgetting to use the traps and get that like shrug position. Whenever I forget to use the traps and like engage those, it really just turns into a lean back, and it's really hard for me to catch up with the bar. So I want to shrug, get that bar high here, get that pull with that shrug, rather than with that elbow or with those arms. And that keeps the bar much more vertical for me, and it's much cleaner. And every time I forget it for the first couple sets, and I gotta keep reminding myself, engage the traps, get that pull with that trap, get that shrug with that trap, then get underneath it. But before we hit this third set, I was asked a question by Black Maverick V2B on a video this week on YouTube, where he commented, "Hey brother, question for you. I try and sprint every week, but it's only been once a week because I get nasty shin splints. I sprint on a soccer field that is kind of rough. Any tips on how to condition my shins not to get so beat up? Thank you." And I sent him a podcast we had with Taylor Starch, where like the last 20 minutes of that podcast was all covering shin splints, what they actually were, what they were caused by, and how to fix them. Hint, tib raises was not the answer. So if you haven't watched that podcast, I'd really recommend watching and listening to that podcast, especially the end, because he gives an entire deep dive and masterclass on shin splints. But based off your personal situation, it sounds like the ground you're running on is shitty. And if the ground you're running on is shitty, it's going to be really, really hard for you not to get shin splints, especially if you're spiking volume, not giving yourself enough time to get acclimated to that surface, and you're just kind of yeeting yourself out there. Even if it is just once a week, if your volume's too high, your intensity's too high, and you didn't have a ramp up period to go get it, and now you already have shin splints because that, every single time you go and sprint, you're just gonna cause more damage there. So I would regress our volume a little bit until we can run without shin splints. Even if that's 1 or 2 sprints a day, during that day, that's all that really matters. Get those 1 to 2 sprints in without causing damage to those shins, without getting them to flare up. Then next week we'll come back and maybe we run 3, and the week after maybe we run 4. But we will build it up after we regress and get those shins out of pain first. If you keep running yourself into pain, you're gonna just keep causing more damage, and you're never gonna get yourself out of the hole that was probably caused by a spike in volume on this shitty surface. I would also look at the shoes that you're using and how they're interacting with the ground. I would try out a different pair of shoes. Maybe the cleats you're using are super tough. They're beating up the shins and ankles more, but that's definitely something you can look into. And then programming wise, I would look at adding in hops to your program and low tier, low stim plyometrics. So basically when we're working with athletes that have shin splints, we're really trying to build up into like a 5-minute just hop. Jump roping does the same thing, but just when we're bouncing and interacting with the ground and we're building up our time to get there, right? So maybe week 1, once or twice a week, we're doing 1 minute of hops. If 1 minute of hops is flaring you up, maybe it's 30 seconds a hop. And eventually we want to build up to 5 minutes of total hops there to condition those feet, condition those shins to the impact that they're going to face. Once we start to build up those hops, we can start to progress those plyometrics to some double-legged plyometrics. And then eventually our goal is to get some single leg plyometrics to kind of mirror that sprinting motion that you're struggling with that is causing those shin splints. I would also look at adding in some ankle care to your program. Stuff as simple as like working some calf raises, not necessarily for the calf, but taking the shoes off and doing some calf raises at a bunch of different awkward angles. Maybe adding in some isometrics to get that foot to function a little bit better. If we get that foot and ankle to function, a lot less of the damage goes straight to the shins, and it gets dispersed a little bit better through the foot, through the ankle, through the shin and calf, through the rest of the body. But if that foot's not functioning, that shin's gonna take the brunt of the action, which is not our ideal when we're having shin splints. So regress your volume, even if it is to like a bare minimum volume that you have to regress to. Try to change your sprinting surface if you can. If you can't change your sprinting surface, try to get some forgiving shoes that can change that surface. Like you're not actually changing the ground, but you're changing the thing that your foot is wearing to interact with that ground. And that could be trying barefoot shoes, it could be trying insoles, whatever it is for you that works. Try to find something that's just a little bit different, especially if you are running on a tough, hard surface. Train that foot and ankle in your training. Start to add in some low stimulus plyometrics. Try to build up to a 5-minute hop throughout the weeks, and then progress those plyometrics from high stim double leg plyometrics to low stim single leg plyometrics. and listen to that Taylor Starch podcast to get a bunch of details on why we do all those things, right? But if you're causing pain and you're trying to push through that pain, especially when it comes to shin splints, you're just going to dig yourself a deeper hole, and you got to get yourself out of the hole first before we can prepare those shins, before we can prepare that ankle and that calf and that foot to never go in that hole again. And typically that hole, again, is caused by a big spike in volume or a big spike in intensity that you weren't doing before. And then people just try to push through it, causing more damage and more pain rather than getting out of that hole, building these things up, and then we go back into doing the things that we want to do pain-free, which is going to obviously increase our performance and the intensity and volume that we can get in on those field days, right? So that's how I'd approach shin splints. Let's get this third set. Ooh, let's go. Get to some cleans. Now we got 3 sets of 2 at 310 pounds on these cleans. Gonna have to grind, get this weight up here. Trying to power, but I don't know if the powers are gonna come today. Did not feel very explosive in the warm-ups. Before we did this, we hit our front squat iso holds, building those up 2 sets of 30 seconds with a super rand front rack position where we hit for 2 minutes. Those are 2 staples that I've been using to fix my front rack position. They've been helping a ton. Let's get after this weight, let's go. Ooh. Ooh, let's go. All right, other than not being able to get the bar high enough to power, these are feeling pretty smooth. I like these. Set number 2 here, let's go. Ooh. Ooh. Woo. Final set here, draw a little intensity in the bar here. See if we can get a little bit higher. Stop bailing underneath it, let's go. Bar's moving good, trust it. There we go. Ooh. Ooh. Woo. Got 1 power out of it. Failed on that second one. Let's get to some squats. First rep felt nice. Now we got 3 sets of 3 at 375 on these squats. Continue to build these babies up. Hopefully hit a sickening PR on these throughout this program. Let's go. Ooh. Ooh. Ooh, let's go. The bar's moving. All right, second set here. Let's keep the bar moving like it was there. That's pretty cool. 375 moving like that is a really, really good sign. Let's get it. Oof. Oof. Ooh, let's go. Whee. All right, before we hit this last set, I'm gonna answer the question that I got in this week's Q&A, talking about what should I do if I'm a new gym owner, a new business owner in the fitness space. And I think there's 2 things you really need to focus on. You need to focus on doing something different than everybody else and solving problems that other people can't solve. If you are a solver of problems, if you can solve people's problems that other people can't solve, or in a more efficient way, or in a way in which they enjoy more, which is all just solving that problem in a better way for them, you will be a successful business in the long run. And I say in the long run because you need the second part of this equation, which is you need to find a way to let people know that you can solve problems that they have either better or more efficient than other people that can solve these problems, or you're the only one that can solve these problems, which is rare in the fitness world, just because most gyms that are worth a damn can solve the problem of fitness for people, which is how can I lose weight, how can I get stronger, how can I get more athletic, how can I get out of pain. Like most gyms, if you want to last, you have to have number 1, you have to be able to solve those problems. But just solving those problems alone isn't enough if people don't know that you can solve those problems, right? And that's where the marketing side of things comes into play. And whatever that marketing is for you, it really doesn't matter. You can go the Instagram route like we did. You can go the peer-to-peer route like a lot of gyms do, where you solve a problem for somebody and they go tell people that you solved the problem and then they bring in other people with similar problems. Or you can do an outreach route that a lot of gyms do, where you're going to places where people will have these problems. Let's say it's a sporting event where people want to get more athletic. Their problem is, I'm not athletic enough. You bring your solution to them. You either show them that you can solve it, or you tell them that you can solve it, and you bring them in to solve said problem, right? So you need to do number one. You need to have the ability to do number one. You have to be a solver of problems. If you can't solve problems, people are not going to pay you. But if people don't know that you can solve their problems, they don't know, and they're not going to come to you because they don't know you can solve the problems. They have this problem. They want you to solve. They want somebody to solve this problem. They don't give a fuck who solves it. It's just whoever tells them they can solve it and whoever actually solves it first for them. So you have to go meet them where they're at and tell them that, hey, I'm a person that can solve this problem to you. And then you got to go back to one and actually solve that problem. There's so many gyms that do a really good job of telling people that they can solve the problem, then they don't solve the problem. So they're a short-term business. And that's what you see a lot of on Instagram, where it's flashy, it's sexy, and they get a lot of clientele right away. But their returning clientele and their peer-to-peer clientele is very low because they're not actually solving the problem. Those businesses always go out of business. But then I also know a lot of I don't want to say old heads in the fitness space, but people that get pretty nihilistic about, hey, I can solve these problems. I have proof that I can solve these problems, but nobody's coming to me to solve these problems. And it's like, you have to think about your day-to-day life. Like, everything you do is fitness. Everything you do is surrounded around these fitness problems. And that is not most people's lives. Just like the accountant solves people's money's problems, and that is their life, and they know they can solve that problem. You probably don't know every single accountant within the 10-mile radius of you. You probably just go to the same person over and over again that has solved that problem to you the first time and somehow got connected to you in that way. And that doesn't mean they're even the most efficient person to solve that money problem for you. You're just comfortable with them, and you know they can solve the base level of problem that you have, and you're not spending more of your day looking for answers to that problem that you already have solved. And that's the same for most athletes. That's the same for most clientele, is their day is not surrounded around fitness. Their day is not surrounded around finding the best gym in the world. They have a million different things going on, and you have to be the one to be like, hey, I solve these problems, and you have to show them that. And I really think getting nihilistic about that is silly. It's really not introspective at all, because you have to realize fitness means way more to you, and your gym, obviously, because you make money off of it, means way more to you than it does everybody else in the world. So you have to tell people you can solve these problems. You have to tell people why you are the best gym in the world. And personally, I would use every avenue that I would talk about. I would not focus on just one avenue. I would post stuff on Instagram. I would get the outreach on Instagram. I would get the outreach on the peer-to-peer. I would set up a peer-to-peer system, a referral-based system. And I would go meet people where they're at. I talked about putting posters up at a couple coffee shops in places around the gym recently to just generally put out the thing like, hey, we're here. We solve this problem with fitness. We make fitness fun. You should come join us if you have this problem, because I bet we can solve that problem for you. And since putting those posters up, we've had probably 10 to 15 people sign up just off those posters, and those posters have been up for like 3 weeks. And we haven't changed anything at the gym or anything that we're doing or any problems that we're solving. We've just gone to where those people are at, where those people have those problems, and we've told them, we are a company that solves those problems for you. You should come to us. And then once they come to us, we do number one really, really well, and we actually solve that problem, and then it grows into the peer-to-peer, right? So I think all of these marketing tools come into play, but if you're a new business owner, you have to be doing both of these things. I think number one is way more important than number two, but ironically, number one is also worthless without number two. You can be the best gym in the world, you can have the best solutions in the world. If nobody knows you have that, your dreams are gonna die in your basement, man. Just like an artist that paints in their basement and never posts it anywhere and never shows anybody it. Nobody has any idea how good at painting you are if you don't show them and you don't put it up in an exhibit. So that's the two things that I would focus on. Solve people's problems, tell people you solve their problems. Do these things repeatedly, do these things really, really well, and you will have a very successful business, right? So that's business 101 right there in a very simplified form. Let's get this third set. Then we're gonna go hit some golf balls at the simulator because Welty and Brian are coming for the sim on Friday again, and we have to prepare to beat Welty again. Let's go. Oof. Oof. Ooh. Let's go. Oh, appreciate you guys watching. Keep chopping wood. Back tomorrow with another blessed day. Let's get after it.